We're live.
Put the Malcolm X's on.
Live on both. And what time is it?
It's like 9:05, 9:03.
That's wrong time. 8:58.
8:58.
You gotta be in a shot. Are we both in the shot?
Both there.
Okay. And we got another minute to go. Good morning.
Good morning. How you doing, family?
What?
Okay.
Do what? Hey, I'm gonna do what I do, boo. Okay, not quite 9 o'clock yet. Good morning, good morning, good morning.
Good morning, family. What's happening?
Okay, it's 9.
Is it?
It's 9 o'clock. It's time to get started.
Ready to go? Let's get this started.
Woo! Woo! Let me shake some stuff up off of me.
It's time to wake up this morning. So what's happening, family? How y'all doing there?
We are doing amazing, right?
Okay. So what's up, baby girl? What's up?
So, this is Jay.
And this is Silk with the Q.
And we are the introverts.
And the extrovert.
And today's topic is Come Thru 2021.
2021 is right around the corner.
Right around the corner.
Yes.
Can you believe it's December?
Yeah, you know, these months have flown past extremely fast.
Oh my God. But it feel like forever with this podcast, though.
Yeah. You know,
It's a long time.
You know, you can reflect on it though. You think about it just like it was yesterday.
Yesterday?
What?
I don't know if it was like yesterday, but okay.
12 weeks in the making, something like that.
Something like that. Since August 22nd.
Yeah, it's been a long and arduous one. You know, a true learning experience.
Oh, we gonna get into the learning experience in a minute. We're going to get into the learning experience. Good morning, family.
Hey.
So, before we get into our topic area, just to talk about some stuff we can review, I'm gonna kick it off. After our last week's stream, HBCU 60s to the present, I got fired up. I was calling all kind of people all over the nation. I'm like, wait a minute. We need to do some things. You would swear that I was an alumni of an HBCU, how fired and charged I got. Good morning, Miss Kim.
Family.
Yeah. Because I feel family because I work with so many people and I've met so many people that go to that have gone to HBCU. I can't help but feel mad love for them. So I got charged and I started making some phone calls to create an initiative that the introvert and the extrovert, in addition to my business 1863 Forward, is making some moves. So like when we come back next year, we gonna have a report.
Okay.
We doing some work. So that was one of the things I got charged up for.
Okay.
I was on the phone last night with the Shanghai government, that group that I went to China with. They, the actual government did a presentation, and Illinois, Chicago folks did a presentation, Illinois Department on Aging, and I learned a lot. But mostly what I learned,
international connector right here,
in the weekend review,
right,
was how much I value time. Baby, it hit me like I streamed on my own personal stream. Good morning, family. I streamed on my stream this week about how I had a 20-year goal at the age of 30. I said I was going to be a millionaire by 50. And I talked about the absurdity of having a 20-year goal. And that COVID-19, this pandemic, made me realize how stupid that was.
Yeah.
Like, millennials like, what? 20-year goal like that? I cried.
I'm sorry. I wouldn't call it stupid, but I would call it sometimes set of limitations where we don't have to have them.
We don't have to have them. And then that's not the mindset that I had. I'm thinking you need to grow for 20 years. No, you don't need to grow for 20 years to make your money, to utilize your skills and your knowledge. So that was one of the biggest epiphanies for me in this weekend review. It just blew me away.
Right.
So what did you have to say about the weekend review?
Younger, wiser. I would say, again, because it's so important in our life right now. We've had a lot of appointments, with the new administration, just to stay on that for a little while, so there's a lot of changes that's going to be made and will be made, and also just to piggyback on what we spoke on this past week, HBCUs and PWIs. I've actually, sometimes when you do some things, it brings more attention to it. You look for it.
Yeah.
So I saw an article yesterday where there was a lawsuit placed on the NCAA pertaining to HBCUs and the disparity.
What?
Of different funding and different allocations. And it was based on like academic achievements and graduation rates, which are, extremely unfair because of the fact that PWIs, the predominantly white European institutions, they have an imbalance when it comes to education. A lot of HBCU students are first generation, so they go to school without any direction and focus, but they aspire for the highest of attainment, and a lot of times, they don't always graduate on time. So they were holding athletes to a higher standard.
Oh, wow.
And that affected the postseason play when it came to basketball and football, so forth and so on. So they were not giving the funding or the allocations that they felt like they deserved. So the monies wasn't split evenly, And I read in one part of the article, out of 156 teams, there were 114 teams, which were primarily HBCUs, which were not banned, but taken out of postseason play because of their standards that were set up unjustifiably and unequally.
Well, good for them.
Right.
Good for them. I saw the article pop up, but I didn't get a chance to read it. But you did.
Kind of read a little bit in depth with it.
Right. Yeah. So since we've been talking about the HBCU, but when it's in our phones, they pick up everything, right? So that's the other part to it is because the technology by us searching on our phones, so it's like really honing in on that. And I'm glad because we're gonna ride this wave. But so any other things about a weekend review?
It was some losses, some close losses within my family.
Sorry to hear that.
I'm dressed in black, because we're coming at you all. But after this, I'll be going to a home going, per se, for a relative of mine. So that's been on my mind all week.
Whew.
So, hey, it's a cycle of life,
True.
We come into this world, but we must understand, that we're on the way out. So, as they call that dash, it's all about what you make or what you do in between that dash. From coming here and when you leave.
From beginning to yes.
Right, from beginning to end. Right.
Whew, okay. So let's liven it up, let's bring it up. Okay, let's move it up, right? Get some energy in here. Right. So, this Come Thru 2021.
Okay.
This topic was selected because we're on the cusp of burgeoning into a new year, right? And so we've had some discussions about goals. We've started talking about, doing some things more intentionally with a plan. And so this just really sets us up for being able to do something greater than what we've been doing on this platform. And so we're going to talk about our journey. So this podcast originally started in August. The actual streaming started in August. Right. And this guy last night was cracking up, laughing as we prepared for this stream. And I'm like, what's funny? What's funny? And he was cracking up. And I'm taking notes and I'm trying to do my little piece, but he's so busy cracking up. And he was like, he evolved. He was critiquing himself. And so if you go back to that very first stream at Dolphin Lake, we trying to get our music on, and
Intro.
Facebook and Instagram shut us down and muted our video because we trying to use music.
Yeah.
And it was just like, okay, what we gonna talk about? How we gonna do it? Are people really gonna listen to us? It's
Right.
December and people are still watching us.
Right.
Right?
So again, this podcast was started just based on a casual conversation of me basically throwing out some things, just being inquisitive. We going back and forth. And speaking of my sister right here, anybody that knows her, she's all about action. She's all about creating, and getting things done. So kind of reserved, laid back, and a lot in life I haven't followed through with. But if you put some things out in the atmosphere, the spirit will bring things to you.
Right.
So I guess the good Lord heard me, and sent me her way. I threw something out, and within a couple of days, she had a whole agenda.
Right.
So it was like, wow, to get in the comfortable zone, you have to be put in an uncomfortable space. And I will admit to you, this has been uncomfortable.
Woo, baby.
From the beginning. But I truly believe I've come a long way. I've come a long way.
Yeah. Yeah, we had a battle last night.
Right.
Y'all just don't know what happened in between. Like, this is not easy.
It's challenges. And sometimes we have to face challenges in life to be able to overcome them.
Yeah. Yeah, so and as the more we do it, the more we understand each other, the more we get like what's needed, what investment is made. And so some of the reflections that we had. So, but first, let me start off with a quote. Okay, because it's apropos for talking about creating a vision for 2021. Come through 2021. Like 2020 has been amazingly bananas.
It's time to take it off the table.
Baby, I ain't gonna rush it, but I look forward to 2021 because I've been presented with a number of challenges for 2020, but I embraced it all.
No holds barred.
So I want to open up with a quote from Iyanla Vanzant.
Okay.
She said, if you don't have a vision, you're going to be stuck in what you know. And the only thing you know is what you've already seen. Ooh, let me say it again.
One more time.
Iyanla said, if you don't have a vision, you're going to be stuck in what you know. And the only thing you know is what you've already seen. So if you're not able to venture out and experience new things, how do you establish a vision based on this little circle of information, a little circle of experiences, right? Yeah. And so we ventured out of our comfort zone and we've been across state lines doing this podcast.
Road trip. Speaking our voice. Right.
Yeah, so which of the two? We went to Mackinac, Michigan. We went to Knoxville, Tennessee. Right. Of those two trips, which one would you say ranked high?
Well, I think me personally, the Mackinac trip.
The Mackinac.
We have a history. Goes back a while. But let's say over the last 7 years, since the reconnection, it gave myself the opportunity to share some time with you and have some experiences with you that I haven't gave myself or allowed myself to, even over the past 7 years. We were stuck in the car for 14 hours.
What you say?
7 hours there.
Stuck? Really? We were stuck in the car? Really? You were stuck with me?
You know what? We had opportunity to bond.
Oh, my God.
For 14 hours.
Plus all the weekend.
On the road, plus the whole weekend. I saw this young lady in a light that I've never seen before, and I know she could probably say the same, but that was the icebreaker right there.
It was.
We needed that weekend.
We did.
And that weekend was truly impactful for me. I don't know about you, but we did some things that I hadn't experienced in my life because I was holding back. I had a boat trip. I'll be honest with you, 50 years old, and I have. I worked in the Belle of Baton Rouge when I was in Baton Rouge, but to cross the waters on a boat was something I never desired to do. I just started flying maybe like 20 years ago, but to have my friend right here, and I'll say my friend, to have my friend on the side of me to comfort me and put my spirit at ease, It was so amazing.
It was huge.
And that trip, it was so much that we did. It was just smiles all weekend. Right. Smiles and laughter. Smiles and laughter. A
purely platonic trip.
Yeah.
Like
purely platonic.
Nothing, right. No fancy business. And it was one of the most amazing trips of my lifetime. And I overcame some issues that I had about my abilities and what, you know, my disabilities. And this guy right here, he taught me a whole nother level of thinking. And so it was really amazing. And I think I liked Mackinac more. Well, that was your Mac. I mean,
that was mine.
It was the bomb. It was needed because this guy was very afraid of me. Like he was nervous. He was nervous. He wasn't afraid. He was nervous.
I've always carried myself in a certain way with her. You know, it was always professional and respectful, and you know, holding it to a certain level and degree. And you know, because of what she accomplished and what she does.
But
you know,
if you go back to those first episodes, he would be perched up on the couch or he'd be distant from me. And I'm like, dude, loosen up. I'm like, you all right? What's going on? And it was like tension. And I just kept saying, I'm just Jay. I'm just Jay.
But as I explained to you later, it was all about posture. Proper posture.
Oh, is that what it was about?
I'm a marathon runner, so you know
it was about posture.
Stand up straight, and you know, erect, and you know, strong body.
We're gonna go with that. Okay. Right. Anyway, so once we did that and got drunk at the little Jamaican restaurant, it was like, baby, we got fat. It was good. It was
half a glass.
No, it wasn't it wasn't no half glass. It was a very tall glass.
And I drank the rest.
Yeah, you drank it because I couldn't. I had wine and like.
Okay.
But anyway,
we're fired up.
Anyway, so
and allow all those inhibitions to leave for that brief period of time.
So the next trip, Knoxville, Tennessee, was amazing because, and all of this is pertinent to talking about Come Thru 2021 as we're doing this reflection about where we came from and where we are now. It all started with an idea. So if you take anything from this, it started with somebody saying, "Hey, let's do this." Okay, let me draft up something.
Somebody else saying, "You know what? I got you."
Right.
And here you go.
Here we go. And then it just started manifesting itself, and then it evolved. And he was laughing because he said, he was watching it last night. He was like, we said we gonna stream from time to time.
We've been doing live ever since.
We've been doing live almost weekly.
Right.
So you have to shift, pivot, and turn. That's my thing. Shift, pivot, and turn. Right. When you set out to do something one way.
Okay.
And you see the momentum going, you might have to change pace, or you might have to pick it up or slow it up, depending on what it is. But we've continued this pace of doing this podcast. We try to stay outside as much as possible, so we got a lot of vitamin D.
Oh, definitely.
We had some beautiful scenery.
Keep it energized.
Yeah, which means put yourself in places and spaces that are comfortable to you.
Right.
Put yourself in places where you feel warm and fuzzy. Right? And so we tried to stay, and then it was raining like cats and dogs because we were going to go outside. We're going to attempt to do another outside, but the rain wouldn't let us be great this morning.
That was nature blessing us with those oils.
Yeah.
Those natural oils.
Natural lubrication of the earth.
There you go. Right.
But I just really want to impart to you all. We have done this because it was something that we desired to do. Yeah. And then after we started getting feedback, it was like, it was positive. You know, people see changes in us, like the way that we presented ourselves and the way that, and then to come to learn somebody, I've been in this independent space for so long, I could do a stream and live and talk about this, that, and the other. But to really take time to have to partner with somebody, negotiate, hash out some things, it takes patience.
Yes, it does.
So my growth has been patience.
It's a virtue.
Yeah. And I will have to say, I'm sure he's gained some patience with me as well.
As well as a better understanding.
Right. So I want to toss out one more quote, just throw it out there. So Joel Barker, he said, vision without action is merely a dream. Action without vision just passes the time. Vision with action can change the world. Baby, so we talk about dream big, we talk about dreaming. But until you actually have a vision of what you want to do, and then you begin to implement that thing, and then you impart it to the world, that's action. The world is a better place. We can change the world. We change the world.
Hey, we influence.
Started with a vision.
Right.
Wow. So that was a powerful quote. I love it. So any other reflections about what you, in terms of your personal reflection, in terms of your growth, as we've done this podcast, as we waiting for 2021?
Well, as we mentioned earlier, you stated that, I was in an uproar. We were discussing this last night. I was full of joy and laughter because I was actually reflecting upon my development from episode 1 to this last episode. How initially, and I have to admit to you,
from LA.
I was nervous. I was uncomfortable. Even though the energy that I displayed was something different. That was the energy that I had to put out, to allow myself to go forward, even with that first episode. But from each episode going forward, especially after the Mackinac trip,
it really went down, baby.
It did. That personality
Woo!
came out. That personality.
I saw you differently.
That I suppressed, because we all, have different personality traits, and we all are different, but we all encompass, everything. And what I mean by everything is, that extrovert and that introvert is all within all of us. So from that first episode to that last episode, where we talked for 2 hours.
Woo, baby.
And I was...
Had a little bit of a debate going on in there.
Right.
You got me fired up.
Right, I saw that. But it was a challenge that I look forward to, and I embrace. Because sometimes you could be in a space where you need to be pushed.
With that push word.
No, but see, it's a good thing.
And push. And push.
You need to be pushed, and you need to be challenged, because you can stay stagnant. And that might not be something that you desire to do, And I say that because I left a lot on the table.
Don't even talk.
A lot on the table over the years.
What? Can anybody relate to that? We don't left money on the table.
Mm-hmm.
We don't left opportunities on the table. We don't left a lot of stuff on the table. And that was part of my screaming, crying rant this week. I don't left too much money on the table. Too many.
And not even money, but accomplishments.
I'm worried about money.
So, okay. So, I started a lot of things, but never finished them up. So it's like the follow through. This right here is basically starting something and being challenged to finish it.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't want to disappoint not only this young lady right here, but myself.
Right.
And I don't want to be a hypocrite. So when I put that idea out and she came back with this agenda, it was like, well, do you step back? Or do you or do you become this person which you desire not to be, which is a hypocrite? And I'm a man of my word. So I made sure I stood up on it. And even right now, do you hear the power?
I feel it.
You hear the passion?
I feel it.
Compared to the first episode. Woo! Look at that fire. But see, that fire is emanating. That fire is emanating from my sister Jay. And it's spread. Y'all better watch out. You know, that 2 extroverts on here in a little while.
Woo!
I always be that introvert, though.
We vacillate back and forth. People still keep saying, like, who's the introvert?
Right.
Who's the extrovert?
It's that balance.
That first episode, this boy was clowning. I'm looking at him. I'm the quiet one, and he up here doing all this extra. And I'm like, who is this man?
Dug deep.
Who is he?
Dug deep.
I don't know this person. But once we got to Mackinac and we experienced fun, and there's nothing like laughter and joy. Right. And even as we are in place in isolation and quarantine, we know that there is so much value in laughing and being, with somebody.
Oh, definitely.
So if you have the fortune of being on lockdown with somebody, see it as an embrace. See it as an opportunity to learn and grow because you know how you miss the people that you can't hug. You know when Christmas is coming up, it's going to be some empty chairs.
Yes, it will be.
It ain't going to be the same like it used to be.
Right.
And so we love, by human nature, we love that human connection. And so I cannot tell you how much I value that. And so us being together,
same here, Queen.
you know, Tennessee. So let me go back to Tennessee.
Okay, go ahead.
So Knoxville, Tennessee was Jay's birthday choice because it was my birthday weekend. So Halloween, we streamed from this nice house.
Yes, we did.
This Airbnb, and we actually had a studio audience for the first time. And it was like a wonderful, wonderful experience. And I'm going to read some stuff too because I want to make sure I see the comments. But it was so enlightening to have audience engagement. Like real people just right there. And so we were like, well, we need to do this. So when the weather breaks, I see us bringing that back again. One of my friends from North Carolina was like, hey, I want to be a guest.
Okay.
You know, on the podcast one day. And so when we get back to the subject matter, I'm going to invite her. So if you're interested, like we're growing.
Yes,
right? We don't want this to just be Silk and Jay's podcast.
Right. We want to be for the family.
We want to be for the family.
The family in general.
Yes. So it has been absolutely amazing. 2020 gave us a whole lot of time to be intimate. It gave a lot of time for us to recognize how important it is to stay on point. Like we can get distracted by so many things and it creates confusion. We get distracted off point. COVID-19. I don't know how you use your time, but I really tried to uphold the name of a serial entrepreneur. Launching syrup and making dolls, and then my friend was like, make some Christmas ornament. Oh, okay, let me do that. I mean, so like the spirit of the pandemic. Yes, we've lost a number of people to COVID. I personally lost employment, but it's been the best time of my life ever, baby. Waking up when you want to,
right?
Going to bed when you want to, working on what you want to work on.
So, Mr. Storm, there was opportunities which you took advantage of.
Yeah.
You know, or which was presented to you,
right.
And you made the best out of it.
And this has been my therapy, actually.
Okay.
This has been making those things and spending this time in a functional, productive manner has been my therapy.
Okay. I think it's been therapeutic for a lot of people in so many ways.
Really?
Yeah.
Therapeutic for y'all?
Well, you know, there was this period of confinement that I spoke on earlier, and at some point, at some time, when I become a little more comfortable, I'll tell you all my story, you know, based on my release, you know, and the fact that I'm standing here right now.
Oh.
Right.
Yeah. So we've been through a lot. So we recognize, like I said, it's not easy.
It's not.
This is not easy at all.
Present day.
But we have expectations. And so one of the things that I happen to envision for our future is to quite honestly be able to monetize this. Not only be able to monetize, but Silk said last night, I was like, well, what you want to do? He said he want to inform, educate, motivate, and be a model of success. I was like, wow.
So that's my general response. Wow. That's how I usually, respond to certain situations. You know, so what I'm doing is leaving opportunity for someone else to maybe expound on it, you know, and make it more personal to whomever.
Okay.
Right.
So using for example, so like I sent it out to my grammar school, I sent it to the Carver page, and I was like, I'm one half of the introvert and the extrovert, and like trying to increase our follower base. So we achieved a milestone of getting 200 followers on Facebook. We 203 right now. Instagram is lagging. Okay. So we got to increase our Instagram presence, get more people to follow through, you know, to like and follow the page. Right. So that's one of my personal goals. Did you have any other things how you envision this podcast going as we move forward to 2021?
Well, I mean, my personal goal is to have it go nationwide. it's kind of local right now because of the followers and because of the platform that we put it on. You know, we're only on Instagram. We're only on Facebook. You know, there are some more social media platforms. You know, but it's been limited just to our closest family and friends.
Right.
You know, when we get to the point to where as we could push it out to the masses, I think it would grow tremendously. I know it will.
So I said once we achieve 200 followers that I was going to start working on the YouTube channel.
Okay.
So this is pretty much like the last of the introvert and the extrovert for this year.
Wow, that makes me nervous.
This is like the last of it for this year because we got some work to do. We have to sit down and start planning out some things. And we have to, yes, we got a book. We got a book. Kim, I might need a whole billboard in terms of that vision.
Right.
But we definitely are looking to add some paraphernalia. So like we started, we got these mugs made. We were able to give out some, it's too bright. You can't see this. Can you see this?
Look at that. Ooh, hold on.
You too close. You too close. So we started doing stuff, and I want to do T-shirts, and I want to start doing workshops, and like using our lived experience, because there are some things that are going to culminate out of this podcast experience that we feel should be for the greater good.
Right.
And so using both our talents and skills, and so we come from humble beginnings. Little girl, you know, born and raised in the projects, grew up in Roseland.
Right, same here. You know, young man, grew up in the projects, Allgill Gardens, you know, humble beginnings, you know, and it makes us who we are today, you know, because of our experiences,
right.
You know, and the fact that we're able to step out, you know, and go get even more.
So I envision us to, Spotify, iTunes, we're going to gravitate. I said we need to build our base. We need to navigate this space to figure out and learn like what's best for us. We needed to figure out like what it is that we needed what was our groove? Like we found our groove. So I've had to learn this, man. So anything about HBCU or Greek something, he get charged, right? So I had to study this guy. So like when he get out animated and excited, he was so insistent on this last dang on HBC. I'm like, we done did this to death in my head, like we done that thing. Right. But it ended up being the thing that fired me up and lit something up in me to do something on a national level. So when I say I reached out to my connects, because this platform is going to be instrumental in making change. So I see it as cultivating an appreciation for culture. I see us moving forward and upward, moving people who are Black, Indigenous, or other people of color, moving it forward. Like I'm talking big stuff, right? For the everyday individual that needs some type of idea, motivation, just to be free, just using our lived experiences of how this all just started with a conversation. It all started with a conversation.
Made the changes on greater levels. You know, again, we're in that environment, and there's a lot going on right now. You know, it's a lot of people being impacted on many levels. But I also look at it again as I reiterate. There's a lot of opportunities that a lot of us are really not taking advantage of. You know,
that's leaving stuff on the table.
We're leaving stuff on the table. We're dealing with mental issues, depression, you know, everybody's not in the greatest situation, but we have to find a way to overcome whatever it is that's holding us back,
right,
to enable us to go forward and move on.
So Silk and I will also continue to work on, I talked about the adult coloring book. So because we've given like some of the topic, like we don't did some stuff. So some of the titles that we did this year, opposite sex friends and their values.
Right.
Relationship milestones in the honeymoon phase. Any couple of them ring out to you?
Yeah, my favorite.
Which one?
Yeah, okay, we forgive, but we don't forget, so what's the point?
Being the best possible you. That was the one that I love. That was Knoxville, Tennessee. That was my birthday choice. Be the best possible you, unapologetically. Be authentic. Be true. Like, dig down in your roots and, like, be who you gonna be and do what you gonna do, and don't worry about everybody else. That was a good one for me.
Okay. You know, another good one was for me was like the 8th episode, where it's like, it was titled "In a Better Space." In a better space. Ooh. Because see, in a better space followed what we did earlier that morning.
Right.
And so in between that time,
we podcasted in the morning at 9.
We had a personal conversation.
In between.
And we spoke on some things.
Cleared the air.
And we came back within a better space.
In a better space. And we needed that.
That was another icebreaking session right there.
Woo.
Which puts us where we are right now.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so sometimes we got to hash some things out. Carver needs a class on George Washington. Yeah, that's a whole lot we need to elevate ourselves and our minds with. And so I'm so rooted in understanding my blackness, and I've been doing this for maybe 20 or so years that I started to come into an awareness. Well, no, because I joined Trinity in 97.
20 plus.
So, yeah, Trinity United Church of Christ under Reverend Jeremiah Wright, baby. He got us right. You know, he was giving the biz, giving us all the, like, knowing our heritage.
That's how the brothers do. We get
yeah. Oh, right.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that experience and then coming into Black social workers really honed it in and became like an everyday part of my life. Like, I show my blackness every day. I embrace it everywhere I go. And I'm unapologetic about it. You feel some type of way because of my red hair. You feel some type of way because of my nappy hair. Get over it. It's who I am.
Right.
It's who I am.
Right.
So, 2021.
Right.
Come through. So this whole topic of coming through for 2021, because it's been so tumultuous on one hand, but it also has been enlightening, like I just shared a few minutes ago. And so some of my personal goals. So I said, when I talked, y'all had to see how emotional I was, how stupid I felt. And I know it's such a harsh word, but I just felt real dumb. That at 30 years old, I thought it was a good thing to make a 20-year goal. But I'm telling you, the pandemic just made it highlighted for us. Like, no day is promised. And I said that forever and a day. But it really became real to me because how arrogant of us as human beings to think that we got time to set a goal for 5, 10, and 15, and 20 years. How arrogant is that? As if we're
invincible.
Right.
But we have to understand time, and our futility as well. We're not promised tomorrow at all.
Or tonight.
But
or the next moment. Or the next hour.
When we're young, we think we could live forever. Yeah. Until we understand that that's part of the cycle of life.
Yeah.
Which is leaving.
Yeah.
We come here to leave.
So
to have experiences.
I'm sorry.
Leave. Go ahead.
You right. No. You go ahead. We don't lost our rhythm.
No. You keep up with it. We back and forth. So in the spirit, what I say is we have to continue on and go forward and do those things that we endeavor to do. Don't hold ourselves back at all. We continue to grow and expand and use our true talents and gifts. Because that's what we encounter.
Why are you looking at me like?
No, I'm just saying. Because this one right here, she is my inspiration. And it's just like, I sometimes kick myself because it was like, man, I came back into a space 7 years ago. And I think of if we connected on a grander level 7 years ago, I can't imagine where I would be right now. This one right here, she challenges. And it's a challenge that I embrace because I need it. Sometimes you have to come to an understanding of what you truly need and what it is that you desire to balance you. And for so long, I just did just enough to get by. And then just enough to get by sometimes catches up with you.
Ooh.
Until you get to a point, like I just stated, I left a lot on the table because I started a lot of things, but I didn't finish a lot. And we'll go with that a little later.
Right.
But I realize that right now. And because of the fact, like you said, you created this 20-year plan and you felt that you were speaking in an arrogant way, in an arrogant manner, because you expected to be here in 20 years. There's some things I put on the table like 2 decades ago. And I think about them and I reflect on them right now. And I'm like, man, could you imagine where you could be if you didn't? leave all that way it is. If you did what you needed to do,
Right.
if you put forth some effort and some action, instead of getting caught up in the midst of confusion and obstacles, and it's not what you do or what's done in you, it's how you respond to it. So I think differently right now. Because I'm older, I'm more experienced, and I'm wiser.
Right. Right. So I've set some personal goals for myself, as I'm sure our audience has begun to start thinking about. So, like, now this is the perfect birthing of ideas as we continue to sit. So I was on I forgot one of my major news and review. I was on a phone call this week. I wrote a grant for $950 million. No, I didn't. I wrote a grant for $950,000 basically for the state of Illinois, utilizing that money, the cannabis revenue, tax revenue, to put community supports and restore, reinvest, and renew. And then I also wrote a grant for $450,000. Well, I was a part of a phone call this week to have discussion about my funding idea. I don't know how I did, right? It was a shot in the dark. And at first I was just applying for the one that was $950 million. And I was like, girl, it's another one. You better not leave no money on the table. And so I did it at the last minute. And tell you how God moves your spirit. That's the one that they called me about. They didn't call me about the almost $1 million grant. They called me about the $450,000 grant.
Not to interrupt you, but could I ask you something?
What?
Had you ever done this before?
Well, I wrote a grant last year and it didn't.
I mean, just grant writing, period. How long have you been doing this?
Well, my actual first grant writing was in 2019.
Okay, but
for basically the same concept. But because I was a grant manager, so I monitored people's grants.
You knew of them.
I regulated, right.
Okay.
So I had experience in the garbage that was coming in. I was like, wait a minute, this is what people write? Like, this is a good program to them?
Okay, and you knew you could do better.
I knew I could do better.
There you go.
I knew the nuances and the niches of how to say things and how to beef up this and do the research. And so I got a call back. So even if I don't get the money, I'm good.
Recognizing your gifts
Right.
and talent.
So I was like beating myself up because I didn't know how I had responded in my interview. Well, guess what? Thirsty and hungry was in me. Mm-hmm. So I started calling up my friends like, hey, you think I can get space on your campus? Mm-hmm. Hey, you think I could do something over here? So even if I don't get the grant, I'm committed to doing what I need to do, because you don't need somebody else's money necessarily. You just got to think about it and be innovative. And there's more than one way to skin a cat. Mm-hmm. So even if I don't, my idea, somebody called me, was like, girl, I heard about that grant opportunity you mentioned on the phone last night. Tell me something about it. I'm interested. My son got a degree and I want, when it open up, let me know. I do something for you part-time. So I know there's value in it.
Okay.
I know there's value in it.
Okay.
All that took was for me to say, I'm going to do this. I could have been overwhelmed. I could have been despondent because I didn't get it last year. But I had the framework of what I already wrote. I just built on what I had from last year. Let's try it again. And I'm going to keep on trying.
And that's truly your spirit, right?
That's my spirit.
You don't give up.
I don't give up. Mm-hmm. So that was really huge for me. And so I came into this awareness. As one of my mentors told me, Jatan, I really don't think you meant to work for nobody else. With your personality, I think you need to have your own agency. Don't get offended. I'm not offended, but I understand what she was saying.
Embraced it.
I embraced it. And so now my mind is on my money and my money is on my mind. And I'm like trying to do something different. Like I don't have to do it the same way.
Don't.
Figure it out.
Personalize it.
The traditional way that we've been doing stuff, we can't keep doing it that way.
We can't.
COVID changed all that.
It did.
Now you got to figure out how to connect to the people online. How are you going to provide services online? How are we going to keep people engaged online? How are we going to connect online?
Recognizing resources.
Yeah. So this was huge.
Right.
This was huge. So I endeavor to move 1863 forward, as well as the introvert and the extrovert, especially on this whole HBCU alliance thing. Because when I say it lit a fire under me, it lit a fire under me. And this wasn't even my passion.
Okay.
This was his passion.
But it was your passion.
It's
internalized.
It's internalized.
Because the way that you look.
But
and the challenges that you know that you up against. When you wake up in the morning and you see yourself, you up against it. You're not up against it. But in the society and the world that we dwell in right now, You know, that's why I hear a lot of people say, well, you know, well, keeping me down. They doing this and doing that to me. Well, if you know that's the obstacle that you have to overcome, you work that much harder and put that much more effort in. So you know you up against it. You know, so overcome that. You know, just step over that and keep on going.
So Kevin said, he stopped challenging himself.
Yeah, we all do at times.
You had a moment.
I did the same.
It's human. But then you need to get back up. Sometimes we need to take a nap. We need to rest because we tired.
And we need to find the D. We need to find the D.
We haven't told him about the D and the S stuff yet.
No, we'll break it down at one point. You know,
I'm a D.
And I'm a S.
And I embrace it.
S stands for support. You know, D stands for determined. We'll just, you know, put it like that for now, right?
Yeah. So I am what I am, but as far as my personal goals, and I'm hoping that as we're talking about this is creating a fire in you.
Yes.
To light up yourself in terms of do the imaginable, you know, the unimaginable. So just like I said with that one Joel Barker, vision without action is merely a dream. Action without vision just passes the time, and vision with action can change the world. Like, it's telling you, put something in motion.
Okay.
Let it stop being in your head and in your heart and on your spirit, and put it on paper. Get the plan, pull the people together, get your team together. Let's work, right? It's time to do some work.
Right.
And that's where I'm at. I'm trying to build some teams, and we watching the clock. I know you guys to go. So,
subtle glances. Right.
So what are some of your personal goals? What are the goals that you want to see for this podcast?
Some of my personal goals are, you know, some of that stuff that I left on the table, you know, to get it off, accomplish it, you know, to bring it to the forefront. 2004, I went to school, basically. Something that I did during a period of time, you know, that was a downtime. Took a massage therapy class. So I'm working on becoming certified right now. I left some other things.
Class, you took a course.
Yeah, I took a course, a whole course.
Graduated.
You know, so I graduated.
600 hours.
Just didn't become certified though. You know, because during that period of time, I let some things stand in my space. You know, and they kind of blocked my vision. You know, and took me off of it. You know, as well as some other ventures which we both have spoke on. You know, with expanding and growing and collecting some things like real estate, like insurance. I left some of those things on the table as well. I desire to go into real estate, get a real estate licensure, and I understand now that it encompasses more than that. You know, it's like, hey, why not go get an appraiser's license?
Right.
You know, why not go get an inspector's license?
A broker's license, right?
A broker's license.
I mean,
why stop there? It's just so much that we could go after, and so much that I've thought about, and you know, I hear people mention it, you know, and see what they're doing. It's like, man, you left all that on the table. Where could you be at right now?
Right. So yeah, so this has been an experience for you.
So
it's sparking some things.
It's sparking some things.
It's sparking some things.
Yes, ma'am.
What do you see in vision for the podcast moving forward in 2021?
Because of the balance and the different opinions that we share, man, I see tremendous things happening for our podcast. Like I said, you know, we mentioned the different platforms and channels. We mentioned the fact that we're creating lines. Specifically, you have a couple of things set up to create, from the t-shirts to the hats to I saw somebody reach out and ask, how could I get a cup? You know, so we plan on expanding, you know, and I'm learning, you know, and I'm growing, and I'm attempting to pick up as much knowledge as I can. What's that, 1863 Ford? This is your line. You know, so I also, you know, I'm thinking about, you know, creating my own LLC, you know, and allowing everything that I desire to do to fall under that umbrella. And it's just going to make our podcast even more impactful.
Right.
You know, because not only are we going to talk about relationships, which we're talking about right now, and some of the trivial things, you know, I'll say trivial for lack of a better way to say it, but we'll be able to expand on greater levels, you know, personal, interactions,
Right.
professional
And it's
interactions.
holding us accountable.
It's holding
like
us accountable.
This
It's holding
doing
us
this
accountable.
platform holds us accountable.
You put it out there, people gonna look for it.
Right.
People gonna look for it.
So Angelique said it's only 86,400 seconds to make a difference. Make it count.
I broke
Make
it down
count.
not too long ago.
Make it count.
So don't waste.
And Kevin says for you to finish that certification, to sit for the license.
You're right, my brother.
And do it.
You're right.
And he wants to get into rehab.
Okay.
It is not too late.
Yeah.
It's not too late.
We can come together, family. You know, utilize all our skills. You know, and come together collectively.
And I think about having turned 50 this year. I think of this. Yeah.
Look at
I'm in at 50 and fly. Cause that's what my cousin said. You 50 and fly. All right.
35.
Really. Anyway. But
Right.
coming into 50, I feel like this is the birthing of the second part of my life.
Okay.
Like from birth up until 49, I had all of these experiences that brought me to today. Like this was my grooming period. And so now I'm taking all that experience, all those relationships, all those jobs, all those civic duties and responsibilities sitting in the job that I sat in, I picked those jobs on purpose because I wanted to learn how to write a grant.
Okay.
I wanted to learn how to write a grant.
So
I've been wanting to do that.
So you had a strategy behind
I had a strategy.
Okay.
It wasn't a job that I wanted to do, but I positioned myself to be in that place so that I could learn. And so sometimes you got to shift, pivot, and turn, even though this is your thing over here, but you're going to have to take a step over there and do a G and come back over here in order to achieve what you need to achieve. So that's what I did.
Right.
That's what I did. So I walked away. So even though I left that place of employment, I still gained so much from it. And so I started doing a little grant writing for, other people. Right. It's a lot. I don't know that I want to do it for other people because it's a lot to it. But I took that experience and I ran with it.
You know how to do it now.
I know how to do it now.
So you can advise.
Yeah, I can advise and I can help people, get along that path. And so it's like, now take this time. COVID got us shut down. Like, take a class. Coursera giving free classes all the time. It's so many platforms that's offering up free classes. Take it. Do it. Do it. And then once you get into it, it's like you testing yourself. Like, am I really ready to go back to school? Somebody recommended that I go back and get my master's in fine arts. It was like, the time you use your creative side so much.
If it's going to benefit you.
It's going to benefit me. You right. Merge some of them business skills that you learn. Put it with some of that creativity skills so you can learn how to market yourself and do this and do that. And I'm like, you know what? That's right. I find more joy doing the creative stuff.
Okay.
This has kept me. When I've been in my sunken place,
right,
crafting these dolls and all this, like, this has been making lemonade, like keeping this has been my holding space to keep me sane and to keep me out of my feelings about my situation of not having a job.
It's brought your natural spirit out.
Yeah.
This is what you do.
Yeah. So we got what 5-10 minutes? What time is it?
Good.
We got 9 minutes.
Okay.
So, any reflections on what we talked about so far? I want to read some more of these comments. New chapter of age. Why you thinking?
I mean, the reflections is basically everything that we said. Taking advantage of opportunities.
Thank you.
Going forward, begin or restart what you began in the first place.
Press reset.
And just
press the reset
closing, just like real estate. At the end of that deal, you have to close. So close on everything.
Right.
And leave nothing behind.
Leave nothing behind.
Because tomorrow is not promised. So do what you can do today and don't wait till tomorrow. Might not make it.
Right.
So do it right now. And that's what
now.
That's what my energy is.
Right now.
Because I've spoken, and because I've spoken, I made myself accountable. And that's where how would I call it? Discomfort comes in. Because I'm in this form, and because we're being followed. Hey, you come back in 6 months and say, bro, did you do what you said you were going to do? I said, yes, you did. Because it's on tape.
Right.
You put yourself out there. So, again, I don't like to, display myself as a hypocrite, so I will follow through. Because I'm challenging myself.
Right.
And I have other people around me who's keeping me accountable and challenging me and bringing out that true spirit that I accomplished.
So we're going to be working.
Yeah.
So this little hiatus, as we come back in the beginning of the new year, you're going to see some things. So please share.